Captain Vlox could barely contain his excitement as the sleek Canarian starship dropped out of hyperspace. His antennae twitched eagerly as he strode onto the chrome-plated bridge. "Report!" he barked, mandibles clicking. His first officer, Tavral, turned from a glowing console, her stalk-like eyes blinking calmly. "We have reached the Cygnus arm, sir," she reported. "Long-range scans indicate a yellow main sequence star directly ahead with 9 orbiting planets, including several rocky terrestrials." Vlox rubbed his appendages gleefully. "Excellent! This matches the stellar coordinates from the ancient text. The star of creation must lie within this system." For 3 generations, the Canarian people had searched for the fabled star, a mythical object said to contain the very secrets of creation itself. Ancient legend told of an advanced alien race who forged the star eons ago, imbuing it with unimaginable power over space, time, and matter. The stories claimed that enlightened beings could use the star to manipulate the fabric of reality itself. Now, after decades of searching, they were on the cusp of finding it. Vlox clicked his mandibles decisively. "Assume high orbital posture above the 3rd planet. Initiate comprehensive surface scans and divert all available power to the sensor arrays. I want every meter of that world analyzed for signs of the star." The Canarian crew hastened to carry out his orders, their chitinous appendages dancing across console controls with practiced skill. Outside the sweeping viewport, the beautiful blue and green marble of Earth grew larger by the second. For hours, the scanners hummed tirelessly, probing the planet's continents and oceans for any anomaly that could indicate the star's location. But aside from some primitive artificial satellites and surface structures, nothing unusual appeared. Vlox grew increasingly impatient, clicking his mandibles irritably. He paced the deck, brow furrowed. "How can this be? The text clearly indicated the star's presence here. Are the legends wrong?" Tavral turned, her eye stalks tilted thoughtfully. "Planetary composition and background radiation levels match galactic records for Sol 3. We are undoubtedly in the correct place." She examined her console readouts, then pointed one chitinous digit. "Wait, I am detecting a small artificial structure on one landmass, constructed from an aluminum alloy. There appear to be strange symbols engraved on its surface." Vlox rushed over to inspect the scanner data. There, amidst a patchwork of agricultural fields, sat a gleaming metal structure in the shape of a cylinder. Its sides were emblazoned with alien glyphs, a mystery script of straight lines and curves. "A beacon left by the ancients!" Vlox exclaimed. "It must mark the star's location on the planet's surface. Send a reconnaissance shuttle for closer scans." Minutes later, a compact shuttlecraft emerged from the underside of the mothership and dove into the planet's thick, gaseous envelope. Buffeted by wispy clouds, the shuttle descended toward the cylindrical object. As they approached, the strange symbols became legible. Tavral peered at the view screen curiously. The markings read KFC, Kentucky Fried Chicken, in the dominant local language, a peculiar designation. Vlox pondered the meaning of this riddle. Before he could formulate a hypothesis, a cheerful voice crackled over the shuttle speakers. "Well, hey there, aliens. Welcome to Earth. I'm Colonel Sanders." On the view screen appeared an odd bipedal creature with a flaccid red crest atop its head. It wore a white food preparation uniform and a broad smile. Vlox and Tavral exchanged confused looks. "We come seeking something known as the Star of Creation," Vlox announced, trying his best to imitate the alien's vocalizations. The human's eyes twinkled with amusement. "The Star of Creation, eh? Can't say I've heard of that. But while you're planet-side, I can offer you something much better. My famous Kentucky Fried Chicken." He held up a glistening tan substance shaped like the local fauna. Tavral narrowed her eye stalks suspiciously. "We did not travel across the galaxy to consume this poultry," she said. "Tell us about the metal beacon outside." The human chuckled. "That KFC bucket ain't there for you aliens. It's to drum up business. Lets people know about my delicious chicken recipes." Vlox tilted his head, intrigued. Perhaps there was wisdom to be gained from this eccentric human and his unusual food preparation rituals. Tevral, however, clung stubbornly to their mission. Unless you can direct us to the star immediately, we have no time for such distractions. But Vlox interjected with a calming appendage gesture. Let us not dismiss this human so quickly. If he possesses advanced cooking skills beyond Canarian knowledge, there may be value in learning more before we continue our quest. The colonel beamed enthusiastically. That's the spirit! Why don't y'all come aboard and put on some aprons? I'll fire up the deep fryer and show you how it's done. Vlox clicked his mandibles excitedly. Perhaps their cosmic quest would take an unexpected detour through this human's peculiar culinary customs. Freed poultry was hardly a priority, but suitably advanced cooking could well be indistinguishable from magic. Vlox and Tevral beamed aboard the bizarre Kentucky Fried Chicken shuttle, materializing in a compact kitchen area. The smiling holographic image of Colonel Sanders greeted them warmly. Welcome aboard, aliens. Make yourselves at home. I've got the fryers heating up already, he said. The colonel wore a pristine white suit and tie, along with a distinctively patterned red apron. The Canarians looked around in puzzlement at the strange instruments lining the shelves. Bags of powdered mixtures, bottles of viscous liquids, and odd metal cooking tools unknown to their culture. This was not at all what they had anticipated finding during their cosmic quest for the mythical star of creation. Tevral's eye stalk surveyed the area critically. I fail to see how this primitive food preparation technology will aid our search. We should instead scan the planet for energy signatures. Vlox interjected politely but firmly. Patience, Tevral. If demonstrating openness to new experiences can build trust and cooperation, it may yet reveal clues that aid our mission. Though dubious, Tevral acquiesced to her captain's judgment. The enigmatic human seemed benign, if eccentric. The colonel smiled warmly at his alien guests. Don't y'all worry. I'll teach you everything I know. Now let's get cooking. He showed them how to mix flour, eggs, milk, and a blend of herbs into batter. Vlox watched the process with intense curiosity, sniffing the ingredients and mimicking the human's movements. Tevral assisted reluctantly while taking covert scans. Once the batter was prepared, the colonel heated a vat of bubbling oil and demonstrated how to coat pieces of chicken meat in the mix before frying them to a crisp golden brown. Despite her skepticism, Tevral found herself intrigued by the flavors and textures produced by this primitive cooking ritual. Vlox's antennae quivered with delight as he sampled the peculiar but pleasant results. After several failed attempts, where the chicken came out overdone or undercooked, the aliens began to find their rhythm. The colonel applauded their efforts. You catch on quick for newcomers to human cuisine, he said. Why, you'll be cooking just like me soon. Then maybe I'll share some of my secret herbs and spices, he added with a playful wink. Vlox's eyes brightened at this suggestion. Improving their skills to earn the human's confidential knowledge could indeed bring them closer to cosmic truth. There was more to this cooking than met the eye. Tevral, however, remained dubious. What purpose does battering deceased avian creatures serve? This is an inefficient use of time, she protested. Vlox laid a reassuring appendage on her shoulder. Do not assume too hastily, Tevral. Skillful manipulation of matter and energy to transform ingredients into more appealing substances demonstrates a degree of scientific advancement. We should learn all we can. Though baffled by her captain's openness to these bizarre rituals, Tevral complied. Donning aprons and chef hats, the aliens immersed themselves in the strange new world of human cuisine. Freed poultry was hardly their priority, but honoring one's teachers was a virtue universal across the cosmos. The Kentucky Fried Chicken shuttle cruised through hyperspace, en route to the mythical star of creation. Inside the small galley, Vlox and Tevral toiled proudly wearing aprons embroidered with the words, "We solved the secret recipe." After weeks spent mastering primitive human cooking techniques, the aliens had finally replicated Colonel Sanders' legendary blend of 11 herbs and spices. Their skill earned the colonel's praise and unlocked the secrets of his coveted original recipe. Tavral shook her head in wonder as she mixed a batch of the flavorful coating. The human obsession with optimizing food textures and tastes is remarkable. Their patience in iterating these recipes rivals Canarian research practices. Vlox chittered affirmatively as he vigorously shook a container of powdered spices. Indeed, the lengths to which humans go to cater cuisine to their sensory preferences speaks to an admirable dedication. We have learned much from them. The savory aroma of frying chicken filled the galley as the shuttle dropped out of hyperspace. The view screen lit up with a spectacular cosmic vista. A massive, luminous structure of titanic proportions dominated the black void, casting ethereal, multi-hued light. "Behold the star of creation," the colonel proclaimed, entering the galley wearing his iconic white suit. "Ain't she a true beauty? The ornament of the whole dang cosmos." Vlox and Tavral gazed silently, awestruck by the scale of the ancient alien megastructure before them. This was the very wellspring from which the universe itself emerged, according to the legends. The colonel smiled fondly, lost in memories. Hard to believe this whole universe started out teenier than a little popcorn seed. Why, you could fit 1,000,000,000,000 galaxies in one corner of that thingamajig. Vlox turned his head quizzically. "Please elaborate on these popcorn seeds you reference. The concept seems analogous to the star's significance." "So full of questions, you aliens." The colonel laughed heartily. "Once we finish here, I'll have to show you the glory of popcorn, shrimp, biscuits, mashed potatoes, and gravy." Tavral nodded graciously. "We would be honored to learn more of your people's cuisine. It is a worthy cultural pursuit." The Canarian shuttle floated closer, dwarfed by the star's enormous scale. Tavral took readings of the structure's off-the-charts quantum signature, while Vlox stared silently out the viewport. Had it not been for a chance detour to a bizarre human fast food outpost, they may never have found this, the holy grail of their civilization's cosmic quest. It was a testament to the virtues of curiosity and open-mindedness. As the shuttle curved around the gargantuan star, Vlox placed a grateful appendage on the colonel's shoulder. "Thank you for guiding us here. We shall not forget your wisdom." The colonel grinned warmly. "Ah, shucks, just doing my part to help folks get acquainted. The universe ought to be shared by all." Together, human and aliens gazed upon the star of creation in reverent silence. The Canarian shuttle drifted slowly through a massive central chamber within the ancient star of creation. Vlox and Tavral pressed awestruck faces to the viewport, tiny specks amidst the sprawling cosmic megastructure. At the heart of the star blazed a brilliant vortex of infinitely compressed matter and primal energies. Kaleidoscopic beams of light spiraled outward from its core, converging into particle beams that endlessly generated new fundamental elements: hydrogen, helium, oxygen, and more. "By the ancients," Vlox whispered, humbled before the raw power of creation itself. "Behold the very forge of elemental matter for our universe." Tavral scanned the vortex intently with Canarian sensors, analyzing the exotic quantum signatures. Readings confirm this is the source of all baryonic matter: protons, neutrons, electrons. The structure manipulates scalar fields to manifest fundamental particles. The colonel floated up behind them, gazing fondly at the cosmic wonder. "She's really something, ain't she? Hard to believe our itty-bitty universe popped out of that vortex long ago, smaller than a breadcrumb." Tavral compared sensor data with the historical texts. "So the legends hold truth. This star spawned our universe, shaping the essence of reality." Vlox shook his head in wonder. "To think, our very bodies may contain particles created right here, eons past." The colonel chuckled. "We're all made of the same cosmic cookie dough. Whether you've got 2 legs or 10 eye stalks, we all come from the same bakery." The Canarian explorers continued their slow circuit around the star's inner chambers. Everywhere they looked, Impossibly titanic mechanisms shifted and channeled elemental energies on a scale beyond comprehension. Such power, Vlox murmured. One could reshape galactic clusters like clay with this technology. Yup. Good thing it's locked up nice and tight-like, the colonel said. Tavral tilted her head quizzically. You speak as if guiding us here, yet your civilization lacks any presence in this system. The colonel shrugged. Like I said, this old thing's been sitting unused for eons. No need to stake claims on what belongs to all. Vlox nodded thoughtfully. Wise words. The star's legacy should enlighten the cosmos, not shackle it. As the shuttle completed its loop, Vlox regarded the colonel with newfound respect. Thank you again for sharing this wonder with us. Few are privileged to witness creation's cradle. The colonel tipped his hat humbly. My pleasure. It's a big universe out there. The more we share it, the more there is to go around for everyone. Bearing precious knowledge, the Canarian ship turned now for home. But Vlox knew that the true fruits of their journey were the bonds of cosmic friendship forged along the way. The sleek Canarian starship hung in high orbit above the planet Earth, its cargo bays now loaded with precious artifacts from its encounter with the mythical star of creation. On the bridge, Captain Vlox stood before a view screen displaying the smiling visage of Colonel Sanders. Thank you again for bestowing these gifts upon us, Vlox said, clicking his mandibles graciously. The quantum food synthesis technology from the star will revolutionize Canarian cuisine. Indeed, the star's ancient fabricators and converters could replicate the Colonel's secret original recipes with molecular perfection at any scale. It was a tremendous act of trust and goodwill. The Colonel waved aside the praise. Don't mention it. I'm just tickled my recipes will be enjoyed across the galaxy. Couldn't ask for better ambassadors. Behind Vlox, crewmates were already sampling Kentucky Fried Chicken replicated by the exotic matter converters. Their antennae wiggled with culinary delight. Tavral stepped forward to address the colonel. We have also transmitted the navigational data recovered from the star. This will permit rapid transportation between our homeworlds. Joining different worlds was the star's intended purpose. Now, its ancient knowledge could unite the Canarians with humanity in commerce, culture, and friendship. Much obliged, the colonel said. We surely do live in wondrous times. Why, I feel another song coming on. He cleared his throat and began a cheerful tune about crossing the cosmos to share chicken wings and rings. Vlox swayed appreciatively to the music. We shall return soon, bearing many friends to experience these novel flavors, the captain pledged. The colonel grinned broadly. The more the merrier. Earth's got room enough for all species. The universe brought us together for a reason. Vlox placed his appendage over his heart in a gesture of deepest respect. Then, the view screen deactivated, returning to a breathtaking external view of Earth in all its splendor. Tavral glanced at sensor logs from their journey. To think, accessing the greatest repository of knowledge in the cosmos first required embracing human cuisine. Truly, the universe unfolds as it should. The path of wisdom meanders in unexpected patterns, Vlox agreed sagely. Had we clung stubbornly to our own assumptions, this richer destiny would remain beyond reach. Below them, Earth's cultures were taking the first fledgling steps toward a common galactic community, transcending their differences through compassion and open hearts. The kernels of friendship planted today would soon grow greater than the vastness of space itself. Vlox gave the order to activate the quantum drives, binding their ship for Canaris. They possess treasure more valuable than the rarest element, the promise of cosmic connection and a lesson in seeing beyond boundaries. The star of creation had worked its ancient magic once more. In cosmic communion, all beings were equal, all worthy of dignity and joy. United by the bonds of friendship, the universe was now within reach. Captain Zorbuk of the Gloxorian Imperial warship Valxor strode onto the bridge, his heavy footsteps reverberating on the metal floors. He towered over his crew, his imposing green scales and jagged spines intimidating them into silence. Report! He bellowed, his raspy voice echoing across the vast bridge. His first officer, Lieutenant Vex, jumped to attention, avoiding his captain's piercing yellow eyes. We have entered standard orbit around the planet Earth, approximately 92 million miles from its single yellow star-designated soul, he stammered. Zorbuk clicked his razor-sharp claws together. And the human vermin? Are they ripe for harvesting? Vex nervously consulted his data tablet. Surface scans indicate no human life signs, Captain. It appears they have gone extinct since our last harvest. Zorbuk's massive tail slammed down in anger, leaving a dent in the metal floors. He remembered the last human harvest well. The tiny, soft-skinned humans had no advanced weapons, yet they fought viciously against the Gloxorian hunters, their primitive projectile weapons peppering his scales, drawing his glowing green blood. His claws instinctively reached up and touched the scar on his neck from where one of their lucky shots had torn through his armor. He had crushed that human's skull in his fist, he remembered with some satisfaction. Impossible! Zorbuk roared. Run the scans again! The humans were spreading like a plague across this planet. There must be some vermin hiding in their hives. The Valksor's science officer, Slex, wavered for a moment before speaking up. We have run multiple comprehensive scans using a 500K wavelength electromagnetic field permeation scanner, backed up with neutrino imaging with petascale data analysis. There are 0 human life signs on all land masses and oceans. Zorbuk slammed his tail down again, rattling the bridge. His next harvest payment depended on securing more rare human specimens for the Imperial Zoo's collection. He would not tolerate failure. Increase neutrino sensitivity by a factor of 10, he bellowed. Scan the planet with every means available. Tear this world apart if you must. I want those humans found. For days, the Valksor bombarded the planet with every deep scanning technique its advanced technology allowed, painting the planet in wavelengths and energies far beyond human science. But still, no human biosigns appeared. Zorbuk obsessively watched the scans, consuming raw Krix beasts brought to him by trembling servants. He memorized every landmass, every ocean, every energy signature, searching for the teeming human hives that must be there. The tiny creatures couldn't have just vanished, could they? Captain, Slex yelled. An anomalous energy signature approaching from the outer system at near relativistic speed. It does not match any known ship configurations. Visual, Zorbuk yelled. The main view screen zoomed in on a strange, ramshackle ship zoomed past, seeming on the verge of flying apart, yet moving impossibly fast. Zorbuk's claws dug furrows in his command chair. What was this bizarre vessel? Some primitive escape pod from a nearly extinct race? The communications panel chimed. Unidentified vessel transmitting on all frequencies, audio only. Let's hear it, Zorbuk growled. An absurdly confident human voice filled the bridge, causing Zorbuk to bare his razor fangs in rage. Attention, alien dudes! This is Captain Jack Awesomepants of the ESS Kick Your Butt. Captain Zorbuk brooded in silence on the bridge of the Valksor, digesting the bizarre encounter with the strange human vessel. The primitive-looking ship had easily torn through the Valksor's shields with its crude energy weapons before jumping away, that absurd human voice mocking them all the while. He turned to Lieutenant Vex, who was analyzing data from the brief clash. "Give me answers," he rasped. "How did that junk pile pierce our shields? What do we know about these humans and their ship?" Vex nervously clutched his data tablet. The vessel matches no known configurations. It appears to be constructed from scrap metals and components scavenged from various sources. However, energy readings indicate the weapons are fission-based laser cannons far beyond expected human technology. He highlighted a section of the data. Here the cannons are detonating traces of antimatter within positron buffers, channeling the energy into coherent beams. The yield is substantial. Zorbuk slammed a fist down. Impossible. Those vermin only had chemical rockets and slug throwers when we last harvested them. Vex shrunk back from his captain's rage. It seems they have progressed faster than anticipated, Captain. The language analysis suggests this vessel may have been traveling for some time, allowing them to scavenge advanced technology. Zorbuk rose from his command chair and paced the bridge, his spiked tail lashing. There is an old myth among the subject races that humans spread to worlds beyond their own sun. We dismissed it as superstition, but could it be true? He turned to his science officer, Slex. Give me theories. Could more of them have infested the galaxy? Slex hesitated. The ship was clearly constructed for long-duration travel between stars. Its antimatter energy source would allow journeys of thousands of light years. If they did spread beyond their home system, our scans may have missed them. Zorbuk clenched his clawed fists. They had vastly underestimated this species. Once nothing but meat for the Imperial Zoo, now they had the potential to become a threat. Activate the cloak and take us in closer to the inner planets, he ordered. We will rescan this system in minute detail, launch stealth satellites through every sector. I want to know everything about human capabilities and locations. For weeks, the Valkyr prowled the solar system under cloaking technology far beyond human science. The Glock's crew stealthily scanned the system and its worlds, including the primitive human homeworld. They uncovered no signs of additional humans. But one day, their scanners detected energy signatures on Saturn's icy moon of Titan. Magnifying the surface, they spotted the same junk pile ship hiding among the moon's methane lakes and hydrocarbon smog. Tiny objects were launching away from the ship, accelerating to near-light speed as they departed the solar system. Probes, Slex reported. They are mapping something, but what? Zorbuk's tail twitched thoughtfully. They seek more of their kind among the stars. Whatever they learn, those probes lead back to that ship, and its captain. He studied the frozen, murky image of Titan again. We will follow the closest probe and see what secrets it reveals. We must know the extent of the human infestation. For days, the Valkyr tracked the tiny object under cloak. At last, it slowed and entered orbit around a life-bearing world light years from Earth's sun. Scans revealed a massive, thriving settlement on the surface, vast power sources, advanced construction, technology rivaling even the Glock's empire, and life forms that matched human physiology. By the sacred moons of Klex, Slex gasped. There must be millions of them. Zorbuk studied the scans and grinned, baring his fangs. After so long assuming they were nearly extinct, humanity had ventured to the stars and built an interstellar empire away from prying eyes. Ruthless, cunning creatures. He felt a grudging respect. Now, to keep watch on this new power in secret, and prepare the Imperial Senate for what must come next. The Gloxorian warship Valkyr lingered beyond the edges of the human settlement's sensor range, cloaked and observing from afar. Captain Zorbuk watched the bustling activity on the planet's surface intently. Structures of gleaming composite materials and exotic alloys reached skyward. Sleek vehicles zoomed between them on elevated magnetic tracks. In orbit, swarms of satellites and ships moved in complex patterns. What have we learned about their capabilities? He asked Slex. The science officer read from his data pad, eyes wide. The power sources are largely antimatter reactors, with efficiencies beyond our understanding. There are also energy grids tapping what appears to be zero-point vacuum fluctuations. He looked up nervously. And there is evidence of tempic power generation. The bridge crew muttered anxiously. Tempic power, the ability to manipulate temporal fields, was rarely mastered, even by the Glocks. Slex continued. The humans seem to have developed advanced atomically precise manufacturing and nanotechnology. Their computer processing power is difficult to quantify. Trillions of exaopes, at least. Zorbuk studied the megapolis below, gleaming slender towers connected by millions of vehicles and transit tubes. The humans had built all this away from their home star, developing radical technologies while the Glock's empire stagnated. A cunning move. His respect grew, even as his suspicion deepened. What was their agenda? Have we intercepted any internal communications? Anything to reveal their intentions? He asked. Vex stepped forward, data tablet in hand. Some loosely encrypted transmissions refer to this planet as Sanctuary. It appears to be a major population and industrial center, but not their homeworld. There are references to an alliance spanning many systems. His scales paled slightly. One transmission referred to preparations for a coming unveiling. Zorbuk's tail lashed. An interstellar human civilization preparing to reveal itself? Such an event could shift the balance of power unexpectedly. The Imperial Senate must be informed. Proximity alarms blared across the bridge. The captain turned to see a small human vessel approaching under conventional power. It matched no known configurations, seeming carved from a single piece of glossy black material. "Are we still cloaked?" Zorbuk demanded. Slex checked his console. "Yes, Captain, but they are scanning us somehow. Our cloak is still active, but they know we are here." Zorbuk watched the elegant vessel draw closer. "Open communications. Let us see what they want." The main screen shifted to show the face of a male human with dark skin and eyes. He wore a neatly trimmed beard and a faint, enigmatic smile. "Greetings, visitors," he said pleasantly in fluent Glox. "I am Ambassador Yahani. On behalf of the people of Sanctuary, I bid you welcome." Zorbuk stood speechless for a moment before responding cautiously. "You speak our language well, human. How did you detect our ship?" Jahani smiled. "We know much about your great empire, Captain Zorbuk, including your cloaking systems. We detected fluctuations in your quantum foam wake." He spread his hands. "There is no need for secrets between equals. You have glimpsed our capabilities. What do you intend to do with what you have learned?" Zorbuk considered the shrewd human carefully. "For now, only to inform our leaders. We know much has changed." Jahani nodded. "Humanity abandoned its homeworld centuries ago to force new races to find their own path, without our conflicts. Now we are ready to step onto the galactic stage again." His expression became serious. "But know that we will defend our people vigorously if threatened. I cannot allow tensions due to old grudges." His eyes bored into Zorbuk's. "Can we agree, Captain?" Zorbuk maintained the steely gaze for a long moment before relaxing and inclining his head. "You demonstrate wisdom as well as strength, Ambassador. We will inform our empire of what has transpired here in full." Yahani smiled warmly again. "Then, in trust and openness between peoples, we will await your return." As the sleek ship moved away, Zorbuk sat back in contemplation. These humans were clearly ready for the power struggles of the galaxy, yet tempered by patience and foresight. The Empire would need to adjust its policies and perceptions, or risk catastrophic conflict. "Set a course for home," he ordered. "The Imperial Senate must see all we have witnessed here." Weeks later, the Glox warship Valkyr returned to the human settlement world under diplomatic escort. Captain Zorbuk had addressed the Imperial Senate at length, showing them the full data on humanity's astonishing progress. After much debate, the Senate voted to send an ambassadorial team to open formal relations. Senator Vrex was to be the ranking diplomat, backed by scientists and cultural experts. Zorbuk had argued for prudence and strict precautions, but Vrex was intent on an impressive display. An elaborate reception was planned on the surface, with Vrex transported down in his official state shuttle flanked by security ships. As the shuttle descended through the planet's clear blue skies, Zorbuk watched anxiously from the Valkyr in orbit. He scanned the megapolis landscape uneasily. Something about this grandiose arrival felt unsafe. The sleek black ship of Ambassador Yahani glided smoothly up alongside Vrex's shuttle as it entered the towering city. Zorbuk admired Jahani's poise and tact. His presence kept tensions lower than Zorbuk expected. The Gloxix delegation shuttles landed amidst honor guards, banners, and cheering crowds of humans. Zorbuk was surprised to even see young human hatchlings happily waving. Vrex and his aides strode importantly down the ramp into an elegant open-air pavilion. There awaited Yahani and his own delegation in richly colored robes. The two sides greeted each other warmly, exchanging deep bows. As they turned to enter glittering reception halls, the cityscape around them shimmered and dissolved into empty scrub desert. Vrex stumbled back in shock as the cheering crowds, buildings, and ships vanished, leaving him standing confused amidst hot winds. High above, the sleek black ship of Jahani winked out of existence as well. Where there had appeared a gleaming advanced city a moment before, there was only barren waste in all directions. An illusion, Vrex bellowed in rage. Explain this, human! The figure of Jahani remained unaffected, still calmly smiling. Merely a glimpse of what could be, Senator. We felt your expectations required. Managing. Vrex sputtered indignantly as Jahani gestured to a small domed building nearby, the single real structure for miles. The true reception is here. Please, follow me. Inside, the decor was simple but elegant, with specimens of exotic flora and fauna on display. Jahani introduced the Glock's delegation to actual human leaders far less ostentatious than the fabricated crowds outside. Refreshments were served, and Vrex's indignation soon faded. Zorbuk monitored discussions from orbit as the real diplomatic dialogue began. The humans were everything Ambassador Jahani had been, disarmingly warm, yet shrewd and strategically modest. At the end of the visit, Jahani presented Senator Vrex with a data crystal engraved with fractal designs. A small token of our capabilities, he explained. Back aboard the Valkyr, Vrex and Zorbuk accessed the crystal together. At first, it appeared blank, but then resolved into a cascading portal, opening up an impossible wealth of knowledge on humanity's history and culture. Zorbuk realized it held accessible summaries of millennia of civilizational data, philosophy, art, universal translations. Touching certain symbols allowed interaction with vividly lifelike historical reconstructions. Sufficient for now to build understanding between peoples. Jahani's voice explained gently. Some knowledge must unfold at its proper pace. Senator Vrex sat in solemn contemplation. Your people demonstrate wisdom in what they choose to reveal and conceal. Perhaps much that was hidden will now slowly come to light. Zorbuk nodded, feeling he had gained insight into humanity's layered mindset. They looked far beyond immediate gains in favor of lasting balance. The Glock's empire would need to adapt to this new interstellar power, but for now, a fragile peace had been formed. A century after first contact, the sanctuary planet buzzed with activity as humans and Glocks worked side by side. The once barren deserts now hosted sprawling academies where species shared knowledge. Senator Vrex walked slowly through the minimalist meditation gardens, reflecting on the long path that led here. Ambitious at first, he had since learned patience and insight from human philosophy. His aide announced the arrival of Captain Zorbuk. Vrex turned to see the old warrior, his scales now gray, but his eyes still sharp. They clasped hands warmly. It is a fine thing we have built here together, Captain, Vrex said. Zorbuk nodded. I will miss these days, but humanity's time has come again. News had arrived that a new spacefaring race advanced enough for first contact had arisen on Earth. Humanity was preparing to reveal itself. Vrex and Zorbuk made their way to the Central Academy, where humans and Glocks filled auditoriums and overflowed into gardens wired with holographic projectors. All eagerly awaited the proceedings. On the stage sat a row of the highest human leaders, including a smiling but now white-haired Ambassador Jahani. Zorbuk was honored to join them. A hush fell over the immense gathering as the lights dimmed. A vast star field appeared, resolving into a view of Earth's solar system. Current scans showed bustling orbital shipyards, soaring satellites, and thriving colonies throughout the system. Notifications appeared as scout ships reported alien vessels approaching Mars. The images zoomed in to show sleek cruisers arriving to greet the first extraterrestrial contact in centuries. Zorbuk watched the profound moment unfold as Earth took its place again among the stars, but this time on more ethical, balanced terms. There was applause as the images showed humanity welcoming the newcomers. Their civilization was still young, but held promise. Zorbuk knew they would be shepherded to wisdom. The crowds turned respectfully to the aged human leaders. Juhani rose slowly, but moved gracefully to the lectern, his lined face beaming. "We cannot say what lies ahead for Earth's people, or for any race," he began, his voice still resonant. "But after so long helping species find their own way, humanity can now offer its guidance when needed." Eyes twinkling, he whispered loudly, "Without spoiling too many surprises the cosmos may hold." Laughter rippled through the gathering. Zorbuk rumbled his own chuckle. After a century of friendship with humans, the galaxy felt far larger and richer with possibility. Let us give thanks to past generations whose sacrifices allowed this moment. Juhani looked meaningfully at Zorbuk and the other first contact veterans, and promised to pass on their spirit of exploration, perseverance, and compassion. As one, the thousands present touched hands to hearts in the human custom of gratitude and loyalty. Zorbuk knelt reverently on one knee, honoring humanity's wisdom. Juhani slowly raised clasped hands over his head in victory and jubilation. A new age had begun. Zorbuk roared his applause, the sound mixing with the crowd's cheers at this milestone achievement. Captain Jack's defiant ingenuity and Ambassador Juhani's patient leadership had brought them to this day. Now Earth could join the galactic community it helped shape and mature. Humanity's soul had proven truly unconquerable.